I may take your life all of a sudden, and that may upset your scripture enterprise." Enraged, Pilgrim shouted, "You brazen thievish fiend! What power do you have that you dare mouth such big words? Come up here and have a taste of your father's rod." Not in the least intimidated, the son-in-law parried the blow with his crescent-toothed spade. A marvelous battle thus broke out on top of that scattered rock mountain. Monsters stole treasures, and the stupa grew dark. Pilgrim caught fiends and informed the king. Into the water 2 little fiends fled. The old dragon took counsel, all in dread. His son-in-law, 9 heads, would flaunt his might. He armed himself to go to show his power, and roused the great sage, equal to heaven's ire, whose iron rod, upraised, was hard and strong. That fiend had on 9 heads 18 eyes, all ablaze both back and front. This pilgrim, whose steely arms could raise 1,000 pounds, did spread auspicious rays around. The spade looked like the moon at the first stroke of young. The rod seemed like frost flying o'er 10,000 miles. The rod met the spade as both strove to win. But none had yet won on this battlefield. Charging back and forth, the 2 of them fought for more than 30 rounds, but no decision could be reached. Ju 8 Rules was standing all this time before the mountain slope. He waited until the battle had reached its sweetest moment before he lifted high his muckrake and brought it down hard on the back of the monster spirit. The fiend, you see, possessed 9 heads, and on each one of them he had eyes that could see clearly. When he saw 8 Rules coming at him at the back, he immediately used the lower part of the spade to block the rake while the upper part parried the iron rod. They fought thus for another 6 or 7 rounds when the monster could no longer withstand the double offensive, front and back. He somersaulted at once into the air and changed into his original form. It was a 9-headed insect, exceedingly ugly and ferocious. Look at his appearance. You'd be scared to death. He had feathers like brocade spread out, a stoutish body with curly fleece. His size, at least 12 feet in length. A shape like the turtles or iguanas. His 2 feet were pointed and sharp like hooks. 9 heads joined together to form a ring. He could fly so well when he spread his wings that e'en the rock was no match for his strength. Crying out he could shake the heaven's edge, able to call louder than a mythic crane, with eyes flashing beams of golden light. Not like the common birds, his was a proud sight. Horrified by what he saw, 8 Rules cried, "Elder brother, I've never seen such a vicious thing in all my life. Which creature of blood and breath would bring forth a beast like this?" "It's rare. It's rare, all right," replied Pilgrim. "Let me get up there to strike him, dear great sage." Quickly mounting the auspicious cloud, he leapt into the air and aimed a blow of his iron rod at the creature's heads. To display his abilities, that fiendish creature spread his wings and flew to one side. Rolling over, he suddenly darted down the side of the mountain as another head popped out from the middle of his torso. A huge, gaping mouth like a butcher bull caught hold of 8 Rules' bristles with one bite. Tugging and pulling his victim, he hauled him into the water of the Green Wave Lagoon. When he reached the Dragon Palace, he changed back into his previous form and threw 8 Rules on the ground. "Little ones, where are you?" he cried. Those spirits of mackerels, coulters, carps, and perches along with the turtle, iguana, and sea turtle fiends all surged forward, shouting, "We're here. Take this priest," said the son-in-law, "and tie him up over there. I want to avenge our soldiers who were sent on patrol." The raucous mob of spirits carried 8 Rules inside as a delighted old dragon king came out saying, "Worthy son-in-law, you've made great merit. How did you manage to capture him?" After the son-in-law gave a thorough account of what took place, the old dragon immediately ordered a banquet to celebrate this victory, and we shall leave them for the moment. We tell you now about Pilgrim Sin, who was quite dismayed when he saw how 8 Rules had been captured by the monster spirit. "This is a formidable fellow," he thought to himself. I would like to go back to see Master in the court, but I'm afraid the king would laugh at me. If I make noises to provoke battle again, I'll have to face them single-handedly. Moreover, I'm not used to doing business in water. I'd better transform myself to go inside and see what that fiend is going to do to Idiot. If there's a chance, I'll smuggle him out again so that we may proceed with our business. Dear great sage. Making the magic sign with his fingers, he shook his body, changed into a crab to splash into the water, and went before the towered gateway. This was a familiar way to him, you see, for he had traveled it before when he spied on the bull demon king and stole his golden eye beast. After he crawled sideways through the arch, Pilgrim saw inside the old dragon king drinking merrily with the nine-headed insect and other members of their family. Not daring to go near them, Pilgrim crawled over to the east corridor where there were several shrimp and crab spirits frolicking. After he had listened to their chatter for a while, Pilgrim imitated their manner of speech and asked, "That priest with a long snout caught by our venerable son-in-law, has he died?" "Not yet." The spirits replied. "The one tied up in the west corridor and moaning, isn't he the one?" On hearing this, Pilgrim crawled silently over to the west corridor, and indeed he discovered our idiot bound to a pillar and moaning. 8 rules, whispered Pilgrim as he approached him. "You recognize me?" When 8 rules heard the voice, he knew it was Pilgrim and said, "Elder brother, what shall we do? I've been caught by this fellow instead." When Pilgrim glanced around and saw no one, he snapped the ropes with his claws and told 8 rules to leave. After he was freed, Idiot said, "Elder brother, my weapon was taken by him. What are we to do? Do you know where he has put it?" asked Pilgrim, and 8 rules replied, "It must have been taken up to the main hall by that fiend." Pilgrim said to him, "Go beneath the towered gateway and wait for me." Fleeing for his life, 8 rules slipped out quietly, while Pilgrim turned and crawled up to the main hall once more. A luminous object he saw on the left side was actually the rake of 8 rules. Using the magic of body concealment, he stole it and went to the towered gateway. 8 rules, take your weapon, he said. After Idiot took the rake, he said, "Elder brother, you leave first and let Old Hog fight his way into the palace. If I win, I'll seize their entire family. If I'm defeated, I'll flee outside and you can come to my assistance by the edge of the lagoon." Highly pleased, Pilgrim told him to be careful. "No fear," said 8 rules, "for I do have some abilities in water." Pilgrim left him and swam back to the surface of the water. Straightening out his black cotton shirt and gripping his rake with both hands, our 8 rules gave a shout and fought his way into the palace. Those aquatic relatives, both young and old, were so startled that they dashed up to the main hall, screaming, "It's terrible! That long snout priest has broken out of the ropes and he's attacking us." The old dragon, the 9-headed insect, and their family members were hardly prepared for this. Jumping up, they scattered in every direction and tried to hide themselves. Our idiot, however, had no regard for life or death. Crashing into the main hall, he wielded his rake to fracture doors, demolish tables and chairs, and shatter all those drinking utensils. We have for him a testimonial poem, and the poem says, "Wood Mother was caught by a water fiend. Mind Monkey, unyielding, searched hard for him, and used a clever trick to pick the lock. They then displayed their power and deepest ire. The son-in-law with his princess quickly hid. The Dragon King fell silent in fear and dread, as palatial arches and windows broke up. Dragon sons and grandsons all lost their wits. This time the tortoise-shelled screens were pulverized by 8 rules and the coral plants were smashed to pieces." After he had safely hidden the princess inside, the 9-headed insect grabbed his crescent-toothed spade to rush back to the front palace, shouting, "Lawless swine! How dare you be so insolent as to frighten my kin? You thievish fiend!" Scolded 8 rules. "How dare you capture me? It's not my fault now. It's you who have invited me to bust up your household. Return the treasures quickly so that I can go back to see the king. That'll be the end of it. Otherwise, I'll definitely not spare the lives of your entire family." The fiend, of course, was not about to yield. Clenching his teeth, he plunged into battle with 8 rules. Only then did the old dragon manage to collect himself sufficiently to lead his son and grandson, armed with scimitars and spears, to mount an attack also. When 8 rules saw that the tide was turning against him, he dealt a weak blow with his rake before turning to flee, followed by the old dragon and his companions. In a moment, they all darted out of the water, bobbing up and down on the surface of the lagoon. We tell you now about Pilgrim's son, who stood waiting on the shore. When all at once he saw 8 rules leaving the water, chased by his opponents, he quickly rose on cloud and fog and wielded his iron rod, crying, "Don't run away." One blow, and the old dragon's head was all smashed up. Alas! As blood spilled in the lagoon, red water swelled. The corpse floated on the waves with dying scales. The dragon's son and grandson were so terrified that they all fled for their lives. Only the son-in-law, 9 Heads, retrieved the corpse and retreated to the palace.